Today is the first day of National Suicide Prevention Month, so I'm going to talk about some celebrities who have struggled with suicide thoughts and then their process and journey back to where they are now. I think most of us know about celebrities who have died by suicide. For me, people like Robin Williams, Aaron Hernandez come to mind. And then there's also people who died by suicide that probably don't come to mind. People like Adolf Hitler, Cleopatra. At least I didn't know they died by suicide. But there is also tons of celebrities who have struggled with suicide, have attempted suicide that you probably don't even know about. They are the ones I'm going to be talking about in this video. And what's great about these people and why I chose to talk about them today is, well, one, it's great that they're still alive. And two, they're able to tell their story and share with you how they got from wanting to die by suicide to where they are now. What was the process? What were the steps? What did they do? So they get to actually show you. And I want to share with you those messages today. Before we continue, this is a really serious topic. So if you are struggling with suicidal thoughts, please call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. Also, please note that the rest of this video is going to be talking about suicide. It's going to be people sharing about suicidal thoughts, about times when they tried to commit suicide. I know these stories can be triggering for people, so please approach with caution. If you're not in a space to hear this right now, that's okay. Don't watch the video. If you want to come back to it another time when you're in a better space, cool with me. Save watch for later. Now, let's get into it. First, we'll talk about actor and comedian Pete Davidson. Now, I love Pete because I love how open he is about his story and his overall mental health. Listen to what he says when Charlemagne asks how often he feels depressed.
Oh, I'm always depressed all the time. I have to constantly bring myself out of it. Like, I wake up depressed, but I'm like, okay, now I know my steps, because you learn from real. Now I have to go outside and be in the sun for a little bit, or go for a walk, or start the day this way. It's all just programming yourself to trick your brain.
Even with money, fame, he still gets depressed. Did you listen to the back half of his answer though? He knows what works for him and what can help him pull out of that depression. What helps you? Start testing out practices and make note of, what works really well for you and what maybe doesn't. This will allow you to figure out ways to bounce back quicker over time. You may be surprised by Pete's next answer.
Were you ever suicidal?
Yeah, all the time. But I can't, because I got a mom and a sister and a family.
I think it's important that Pete keeps his loved ones top of mind, which actually helps him. This is where having a why outside of yourself is really important. What/who keeps you going in life, even when times are rough? This next story about Ronda Rousey, I had no idea about. Do you remember when this happened?
Boxer, kickboxer. Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. Is in trouble. She's hurt. Hey, Holly looking to finish. Holly Holm is the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world.
This loss took a huge toll on Ronda's mental health, as you'll see in this next clip.
Honestly, my thought, I was in the medical room, and I was down in the corner. I was sitting in the corner, and I was like, what am I anymore if I'm not this? And I was literally sitting there and thinking about killing myself. In that exact second, I'm like, I'm nothing. I'm like, what do I do anymore? And no one gives a shit about me anymore without this. And then
being the champion of the world was her identity, and she didn't know what to do when that was no longer it until she saw this.
To be honest, I looked up and I saw my man, Travis, was standing there, and I was looked up at him, and I was just like, I need to have his babies. I need to stay alive.
Now, this is the second person that we've seen that has used loved ones to keep themselves going. Let's see if this is an ongoing trend moving forward. The next person that we're talking about is longtime rapper Lil Wayne.
So I had mental health problems. I pulled the trigger.
You actually pulled the trigger?
Yeah, I pulled the trigger.
So this next part is super important. What made him feel like he needed to pull the trigger though?
And so again, words, that was again the loneliness. So when you have no one to vent to, no one to get this out to, you can't bring it to your friends at school. You're still trying to be cool to them. You're not trying to let them know that I got something going on at home.
You should definitely go check out the full clip of the conversation between Emmanuel Ocho and Lil Wayne, because I think he shares some really good insights in there. And I don't have time to cover the entire video because I got 2 more people to go through, but I will put the link in the descriptions below. Next, we're going to talk about Demi Lovato's story with suicide.
The first time that I was suicidal was when I was 7, and I had this fascination with death. I have experienced things that I've not talked about and that I don't know if I ever will talk about. But at 7, I knew that if I were to take my own life, that the pain would end. And so it's been this thought where it came back when I was bullied. It came back several times when I was struggling with depression, my bipolar disorder. I turned to cutting, and there was a while there where my mom was afraid to wake me up in the mornings because she didn't know if she opened the door if I would be alive or not. And because every time I cut, it got deeper and deeper.
In this next clip, she talks about why she felt suicidal and what she had to do to move past that sadness and depression causing her to feel that way.
It was driven by sadness. It was loneliness and depression. And I believe that a lot of that had to do with unresolved issues with my birth father that I hadn't dealt with yet. Now that I've gotten older and I've been able to grieve the loss of him, and I've been able to step back and look from a distance that he was mentally ill and that it wasn't his heart that meant to abandon me, I've been able to overcome his loss and understand where everything went wrong, and that sadness has been going away.
It's important to know that a lot of our feelings that we have now are stemmed from past traumas that we never actually fully processed. The tricky part can be figuring out what past trauma may be causing you to feel a certain type of way. This is where a therapist can be of extreme help. If you battle from thoughts like some of these celebrities have that we've talked about, go get help, whether that's getting a therapist or maybe just being uncomfortable and vulnerable with somebody and opening it up and sharing with a friend or family member and just letting them know what's going on with you. That's the first step to overcoming issues you may be having that are causing you to feel suicidal. I hope this video was of value to you today. Please let me know in the comments who your person of support is, and then go give them a call and talk to them. You'll be glad you did. Thanks for watching. Please go subscribe and turn on the little notification bell so you're the first person to know the next time I post one of my videos. I love you. Peace.